I'm just a pill, yes I'm only a pill, and I'm sitting here on Capitol Hill. Well, it's a long, long journey to the capital city. It's a long, long wait while I'm sitting in committee, but I know I'll be a loss. Very empty, I hope and pray that I'll be, but today I'm
Good morning, this is the Liberal Oasis radio show, WHMP, news, information, and the arts. Another debate down. The lone vice presidential debate is over. Sarah Palin's bar was literally on the ground, and I'd say she managed to clear that, but not much else. If there was a concern about her depth of policy knowledge, and I might submit to you there's a little bit of that out there in the populace, I don't think she quite reassured people last night. She may have, she lost the spunk off with Katie Couric all last week. Maybe she won the spunk off with Biden this week. But on the commander-in-chief threshold, I think folks were still a little bit wanting. Here's how the debate started last night. Like in the first debate, when they talked about the economic crisis, Barack Obama made this about philosophy. He made this about regulation versus deregulation right off the top. The first Democratic candidate in a long while that's actually drawn these ideological contrasts. Joe Biden did the same thing. Sarah Palin took a different tack. Here's what happened.
The governor did not answer the question about deregulation. Did not answer the question of defending John McCain about not going along with the deregulation, letting Wall Street run wild. He did support deregulation almost across the board. That's why we got in so much trouble.
Would you like to have an opportunity to answer that before we move on?
I'm still on the tax thing because I want to correct you on that again. And I want to let you know what I did as a mayor and as a governor. And I may not answer the questions the way that either the moderator or you want to hear, but I'm going to talk straight to the American people and let them know my track record also.
I may not answer the questions you actually ask me. We may be talking about the bailout and deregulation, but I'm going to talk about something else altogether. Now, this is the thing that you do in media training sessions and debate press sessions. I've done media training before. It is a standard bit of advice that you answer the question that you want have to been asked. It's done all the time. However, you don't announce to the country that is what you're doing. That's like reading, ad lib here, smile now, stage right. You don't read the stage directions in the middle of a debate. But that is the tenor. That is the approach she gave to dodge and dodge and dodge all the time. Other thing that she did that was interesting. It's been a appropriate tactic of the Obama-Biden ticket to point out that John McCain's policies are very much in line with George Bush's policies. So if you don't like the last 8 years, you're not going to like the next 4. This is how, and they've had a very difficult time trying to rebut that. They've tried to push the Maverick thing as much as possible, but it's still the concerns that he would have the same conservative policies are keeping him from getting to the upper 40s in most polls. Here's how Sarah Palin handled that problem.
No, in fact, when we talk about the Bush administration, there's a time, too, when Americans are going to say enough is enough with your ticket on constantly looking backwards and pointing fingers and doing the blame game. There have been huge blunders in the war. There have been huge blunders throughout this administration, as there are with every administration. But for a ticket that wants to talk about change and looking into the future, there's just too much finger pointing backwards to ever make us believe that that's where you're going.
You keep talking about change from the past, and so you keep talking about the past when explaining your change. People are tired of that. I mean, come on, everybody blunders here. I mean, everyone knows every president screws everything up. That always happens. But you keep wanting to talk about it. That's silly. Another example of the not answer any question asked strategy. Here's a question that was asked by the moderator, Gwen Ifill. And it's not a question I particularly care for. It's sort of based on a faulty premise. The question is, because of this massive bailout that is being proposed, what programs, what promises will you have to scale back now that there's $700 billion committed to this? Now, keep in mind, this money is supposed to be, this is the argument, this is not a giveaway of $700 billion. It's essentially a loan. It's a buying of assets that they plan to recoup. So there should not be an expectation that you have to scale back all sorts of things. These are things supposed to be investments, and these promises tend to be investments that should pay off down the line as well. Nevertheless, they keep asking the question. It's a conservatively slanted question. But this is how Sarah Palin did not answer it last night.
Well, the nice thing about running with John McCain is I can assure you he doesn't tell one thing to one group and then turns around and tells something else to another group, including his plans that will make this bailout plan, this rescue plan, even better. I want to go back to the energy plan, though, because this is
Question again
an
about the
important
bailout.
one that Barack Obama, he voted for
promises
in
would you cut
05.
back?
Senator Biden, you would remember that in that energy plan that Obama voted for, that's what gave those oil companies those big tax breaks. Your running mate voted for that.
And
you know what
your
I
running
had to
mate
do
keeps
in the
trying
state of
to protect
Alaska?
them. Well, Obama
I
keeps
had to
trying to
take
repeal
on
it.
those oil companies and tell them, no, any of the greed there that has been kind of instrumental, I guess, in their mode of operation, that wasn't going to happen in my state, and that's why Tillerson
But
and
you get that
Exxon
same
and
deal
Nova
just
and
for Alaska.
ConocoPhillips, bless their hearts, they're doing what they need to do as corporate CEOs, but they're not my biggest fans, because what I had to do up there in Alaska was to break up a monopoly up there and say, the people are going to come first, and we're going to make sure that we have value given to the people of Alaska with those resources, and those huge tax breaks aren't coming to the big multinational corporations anymore.
Distribution of
Not
wealth.
when it adversely affects
Socialists.
the people who live in a state, and in this case, in a country, who should be benefiting at the same time. So it was Barack Obama who voted for that energy plan that gave those tax breaks to the oil companies that I then had to turn around as a governor of an energy producing state and kind of undo in my own area of expertise, and that's energy.
So, Governor, as Vice President, there is nothing that you have promised as a candidate that you wouldn't take off the table because of this financial crisis.
The question.
There is not, and how long have I been at this? Like 5 weeks? So there hasn't been a whole lot that I've promised except to do what is right for the American people, put government back on the side of the American people, stop the greed and corruption on Wall Street, and the rescue plan has got to include that massive oversight that Americans are expecting and deserving. And I don't believe that John McCain has made any promise that he would not be able to keep either.
So you can see why she tried to dodge that question for so long. Because what it essentially exposes is, question is, what did you promise you have to scale back? And she says, oh, nothing. You know why that is? Because he hasn't promised anything. He hasn't offered to invest in anything. He hasn't offered to do anything on infrastructure, on clean energy, on healthcare, on education. You can't scale back something if you didn't promise it in the first place. What he said in the last debate was, my solution to all this is a spending freeze. All these areas of the economy that have been neglected and are crumbling. My solution is to starve you more. Nothing to scale back. Maybe I'll freeze more spending. That is the difficulty they're having in this election. They have nothing to offer that's related to the actual problems facing the country.